Good day, learners, and welcome to another lesson in oral communication. This is week 4, lesson 4 in OCC. Today's topic is all about functions of communication. Let's formally start our discussion by simply identifying our purpose when we speak. In oral communication, we need to consider the attention span of our audience, and we do not have time to revise our thoughts or speech. So it's important to be ready whenever we deliver our speech. And since our audience only have, limited attention span, it's important to get their interest. So to ensure, we must learn how to identify our purpose. Is it to inform, to entertain, or to persuade? Identifying our purpose and focusing on it will help us to avoid including everything we know. If we want to apply conciseness and clarity both in writing and speaking, we have to be particular in terms of the words that we will include. So be concise and clear whenever you deliver your speech. Next, determine an appropriate framework to use. Are you going to share, are you going to begin your speech with the general info down to the specific ones, or you'll start with the specific information down to the general information? So you may simply determine or select a specific framework for that. That is also suitable to the purpose of your speech. And then decide if you want to involve your audience or not. Of course, it's important as well to select an effective visual aid. Are you going to utilize both traditional and digital tools? If so, then you may use accordingly. Now let's proceed with the different communicative functions in oral communication. We have 5 communication functions: regulatory or controlled, social interaction, motivation, information, and emotional expression. We will define them one by one, and I will highlight as well a specific example for this. First, we have regulatory or controlled. It's a function of communication, means we are able to utilize language, gestures, and emotions to manage individual or group activities, such as a parent telling a child not to misbehave, or a policeman directing pedestrians not to jaywalk, but cross on the pedestrian lane. That is how we regulate the message. We use language, gestures, and emotions to effectively deliver or convey the message itself. Let's try this. You are in your math class and the bell rang already, but your teacher did not seem to hear the bell and continued with the lesson. You will be late for your next class, so you need to tell your teacher that the bell has rung already. Now the question is, how would you tell your teacher that the class hour is over? You may simply comment your answer below. Make sure to apply or employ regulatory or control, where you are able to use language, gestures, and emotions in addressing the said concern. The second function is social interaction. It's a communication. Social interaction is communication that occurs between at least 2 individuals. Rules of social interaction may vary significantly across cultures, communities, and physical environments. So you have to be very considerate when you connect with other people. Let's try this. Trace your social routine from the moment you wake up to the time you go to sleep at night, and then identify the different roles you play in one day. Please connect that one to the previous communicative function that we have presented, which is social interaction. The third communicative function is motivation. It deals with the stimulating an individual or group of people to do a target goal or to achieve an objective, to achieve several objectives or a lot of objectives. This function of communication is usually applicable in business or corporate settings. In addition, I'd just like to highlight that in motivation, it is categorized into two. It could be intrinsic or it could be extrinsic motivation. When we say intrinsic motivation, it has something to do with words of encouragement, positive um, affirmation or positive words, um, like praises. Those are all under intrinsic motivation. On the other hand, when we say extrinsic motivation, it has something to do with the tangible things we receive when we do certain things well. Like for example, rewards, bonus, incentives, salary increase. Since I have mentioned that this specific communicative function is usually applicable in business or corporate settings. Now let's try this. Pretend that you are the owner of a factory. How will you motivate your employees to reach target output, or let's say quota, on or before the deadline? How will you motivate them? Which of which? Via intrinsic or extrinsic motivation? If so, please specify your answer. What reward, let's say if it is extrinsic, what reward or prizes or prize or incentives you will give. And if it is intrinsic, then please be specific. You may share your answer below. Next, we have information. The fundamental need for a person to adapt and adjust to his environment is information. It refers to the details provided or learned about something or someone. Since we're talking about information, it's important to deliver it based on factual information and or other needed knowledge. It is our ability to share, convey facts or needed knowledge. Let's try this. Think of an imaginary innovative product. You will be informing the class about this exciting product. How will you do the information dissemination? Usually, the thing that we do is we highlight the strengths, or let's say the positive characteristics, the benefits of the said innovative product, so that the consumer will consider to buy buy or consume the said product. But apart from that, I know you have other ideas, so you may simply comment it below. And then finally, we have emotional expression. Communication can also function as a way to express our emotion. In this function, nonverbal cues are usually louder than verbal expressions. The use of facial expressions, gestures, and body stance are very distinct since we're talking about expression or emotional expression. The following are the basic emotions according to Humantel. We have anger, contempt, fear, disgust, happiness, sadness, and surprise. Now let's try this. You may simply face with someone and then observe their facial muscles as they demonstrate the basic emotions. If you're able to do that, what have you noticed? You may simply comment it below. That concludes our discussion for this day. I hope you learned something. You may simply comment the things that you want to learn more about oral communication. Thank you and goodbye.